Celeste Morgan pressed her trembling hands against the cold window of her attic bedroom, watching rain streak down the glass like tears. At 18, she possessed an ethereal beauty that seemed almost otherworldly, with her chestnut brown hair cascading in soft waves past her shoulders and striking emerald green eyes that held depths of sadness no teenager should know. Her petite frame and graceful movements gave her the appearance of a ballet dancer. Though she had never had the luxury of such lessons, the shouting from downstairs made her flinch. Her Aunt Patricia and Uncle Richard had been arguing more intensely than usual for the past week, their voices carrying through the thin walls of the cramped house. Celeste had lived with them for 5 years, ever since a car accident claimed her parents when she was 13. What little inheritance her parents left had been consumed by her relatives within the first year, leaving her dependent on their increasingly resentful charity. "Celeste, get down here immediately," Richard's voice boomed from below. She descended the narrow staircase slowly, her heart hammering against her ribs. Patricia sat rigid on the threadbare sofa, her thin lips pressed into a tight line. Richard stood by the fireplace, his balding head gleaming with sweat despite the cool evening. "Sit down," he commanded, gesturing to the wooden chair across from them. Celeste obeyed, folding her hands in her lap to hide their shaking. She had learned long ago that silence was her best defense in this household. "You have been a burden to us for 5 years," Patricia began, her voice sharp as broken glass. "We took you in out of family obligation, clothed you, fed you, kept you in school. Do you have any comprehension of what that has cost us? I work at the bakery every day after school," Celeste whispered. "I give you everything I earn." Richard laughed bitterly. "That pittance barely covers the electricity you waste staying up late with your books, but your situation is about to change dramatically." Celeste felt ice spreading through her veins. "What do you mean?" Patricia leaned forward, her eyes glittering with something between triumph and guilt. "We have found you a husband, a very wealthy, very powerful man, who has agreed to take you off our hands." The words seemed to echo in the small room. Celeste's breath caught in her throat. "A husband? But I'm only 18. I want to go to university. I have plans." "Your plans are irrelevant," Richard snapped. "Nathaniel Blackwood has made us an extremely generous offer. He is the founder and CEO of Blackwood Technologies, worth billions. He wants a young wife, and he has chosen you." "Why would someone like that want me?" Celeste asked, her voice barely audible. Patricia's expression softened slightly, perhaps with genuine pity. "He saw your photograph at a charity function where I volunteer. He made inquiries. He is 46 years old, never married, and apparently looking for someone unspoiled by society. 28 years older." The number spun in Celeste's mind. "Please, I cannot do this. I do not even know him. The wedding is this Saturday," Richard said with finality. "His people will arrive tomorrow to prepare you." "This is not a discussion, Celeste. This is happening." That night, Celeste lay awake, staring at the water-stained ceiling and trying to process her new reality. In 4 days, she would become the wife of a complete stranger, a man old enough to be her father. She thought of her parents, wondering what they would say. Would they want her to fight, to run? But where would she go with no money, no family, no options? Saturday arrived with cruel swiftness. The transformation team that descended upon her was professional and efficient. They styled her hair into an elegant updo, applied subtle makeup that enhanced her natural beauty, and dressed her in a wedding gown that must have cost more than she had earned in her entire life. The dress was exquisite, a creation of ivory silk that flowed like water over her slender frame. Standing in the bridal room of an exclusive cathedral, Celeste caught her reflection in the full-length mirror. She looked like a princess from a fairy tale, but she felt like a prisoner awaiting execution. The ceremony began with the haunting notes of an organ. Celeste walked down the aisle alone, her relatives having declined to participate beyond delivering her to the church. The cathedral was filled with white roses and soft candlelight, creating an atmosphere of romance that felt cruelly ironic given the circumstances. Then she saw him. Nathaniel Blackwood stood at the altar, and Celeste felt her breath catch for entirely different reasons than fear. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that filled his charcoal gray suit perfectly. His dark hair was touched with silver at the temples, giving him a distinguished appearance. But it was his face that surprised her most. Strong jawline, high cheekbones, and deep blue eyes that watched her approach with an expression she could not quite identify. He was handsome, devastatingly so, in a mature and refined way that made her feel impossibly young. As she reached the altar, Nathaniel extended his hand. His touch was warm and steady as his fingers closed gently around hers. "Hello, Celeste," he said quietly, his voice deep and smooth like aged whiskey. "You look absolutely breathtaking." The ceremony proceeded with traditional vows, but when it came time for Nathaniel to speak, he turned to face her fully, his blue eyes holding hers with surprising intensity. "Celeste, I know this is not the wedding you dreamed of as a little girl. I know you are frightened and uncertain. I promise you that I will never hurt you, never force you, never treat you with anything less than the utmost respect. I promise to be patient as you learn to trust me, and I promise that your happiness will become my priority." The words were so unexpected, so sincere, that Celeste felt tears prick her eyes. When the priest pronounced them married, Nathaniel simply lifted her hand and pressed a gentle kiss to her knuckles. The reception was elegant but oddly intimate for someone of Nathaniel's wealth and status. Throughout the evening, he stayed close to her side, introducing her to guests with evident pride, but never leaving her to navigate conversations alone. During their first dance, Nathaniel held her with careful respect, maintaining appropriate distance. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. "I am confused," Celeste admitted. "You are nothing like what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Someone cold, someone cruel, someone who would see me as property he purchased." Nathaniel's expression grew serious. "I understand why you would think that. I hope, given time, to prove you wrong about who I am." The penthouse took Celeste's breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the glittering city below. Everything was decorated in sophisticated neutrals with touches of warmth. Fresh white roses filled crystal vases throughout the space, and soft music played from hidden speakers. "This is your home now," Nathaniel said, watching her reaction carefully. "I want you to feel comfortable here. Let me show you something." He led her down a hallway and opened a door to reveal a beautifully appointed bedroom. The space was designed in soft creams and gentle blues, with a plush queen bed, a reading nook by the window, and French doors leading to a private balcony. "This is the guest suite," Nathaniel explained. "I thought you might prefer your own space while you adjust to this new situation. There is no pressure, no expectations. This marriage will proceed entirely at your pace." Celeste stared at him in surprise. "You do not expect me to share your bed?" "Not until you want to," Nathaniel said simply. "Celeste, I did not marry you to have a trophy or a possession. I married you because when I saw your photograph, I saw something in your eyes that I recognized, a loneliness that matched my own. I thought perhaps we could help each other feel less alone." Over the following weeks, Celeste discovered that Nathaniel was true to his word. He never pressured her for physical intimacy, never demanded anything from her. Instead, he courted her with a patience and gentleness that gradually dissolved her fears. Every morning, she woke to find breakfast prepared. Nathaniel was an excellent cook, and he seemed to delight in discovering her preferences. He asked about her dreams of university and immediately arranged for her enrollment in the upcoming semester. He encouraged her to pursue her interests, supporting her volunteer work at the local animal shelter where she had always wanted to help. "Tell me about your parents," Nathaniel said one evening as they shared dinner on the terrace, the city lights twinkling below them. Celeste found herself opening up, sharing memories she had locked away for years. Her father had been a high school teacher, her mother a nurse. They had been deeply in love, always laughing, always supportive. Losing them had felt like losing her entire foundation. "They sound wonderful," Nathaniel said softly. "They would be proud of the woman you have become, Celeste. Your strength, your kindness despite everything you have endured. What about your family?" she asked. Nathaniel's expression grew distant. "My parents were wealthy, but cold. They saw me as an heir to their empire, not a son to love. I built my own company to prove I did not need their money or approval. I have been successful beyond measure, but also profoundly lonely. Every woman who showed interest in me was interested in what I could provide, not who I was as a person. Is that why you chose me? Because I had no choice but to see past your wealth? Partially, he admitted, but also because I saw genuine goodness in you, Celeste, a purity of spirit that this world had not yet corrupted. I wanted to protect that, to cherish it. As the weeks turned into months, Celeste found herself looking forward to their evenings together. Nathaniel was intelligent and well-read, able to discuss literature, philosophy, and art for hours. He listened when she spoke, truly listened, valuing her opinions even when they disagreed. He made her laugh with his dry wit, and surprised her with small gifts that showed how well he was learning her preferences. One evening, 3 months into their marriage, Celeste realized with startling clarity that she was falling in love with her husband. They were in the library, a cozy room lined with bookshelves, where they often spent evenings reading together. Nathaniel sat in his leather armchair, reading glasses perched on his nose, completely absorbed in a novel she had recommended. The soft lamplight caught the silver in his hair, and Celeste found herself thinking how handsome he was, how kind, how patient he had been with her. Nathaniel, she said softly. He looked up immediately, giving her his full attention. Yes, I want to thank you for everything, for being so patient, so understanding, for showing me that kindness still exists in this world. Something shifted in his expression, a vulnerability she had not seen before. Celeste, you have given me far more than I could ever give you. You have made this house a home. You have made me want to be a better man. She stood and crossed to his chair, her heart pounding. May I kiss you? Nathaniel's eyes widened in surprise. You never have to ask permission for that, but I appreciate that you did. Yes, Celeste, I would very much like that. She leaned down, her hands resting on the arms of his chair, and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was tentative at first, exploratory, but when Nathaniel responded with gentle passion, she felt warmth spread through her entire body. His hand came up to cup her cheek tenderly, his thumb stroking her skin as the kiss deepened. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing heavily. I think I am falling in love with you, Celeste whispered. Nathaniel's eyes filled with emotion. I have loved you since the moment I saw you walking down that aisle, looking terrified, but so incredibly brave. I have been waiting for you to be ready to hear it. From that night forward, their relationship transformed. Celeste moved into Nathaniel's bedroom, discovering that physical intimacy with someone you loved and trusted was a beautiful thing. He was patient and attentive, always ensuring her comfort and pleasure. 6 months after their wedding, Celeste stood in the study of their penthouse, watching Nathaniel work late into the evening. He was stressed about a business acquisition that could affect hundreds of employees, and she could see the weight of responsibility in the tension of his shoulders. Come away from that computer, she said softly, approaching his desk. The problems will still be there tomorrow. Nathaniel looked up, his face softening when he saw her. I am sorry. I know I have been distracted. Celeste moved behind his chair and began massaging the knots from his shoulders. Tell me what is troubling you. He explained the situation, a smaller technology company on the verge of bankruptcy that he was trying to save. If I cannot find a solution, over 300 people will lose their jobs right before the holidays. You care so deeply about people you have never even met, Celeste observed. It is one of the countless things I love about you. Their first real challenge came when Richard suffered a heart attack. Despite their complicated history, Celeste wanted to help. Nathaniel not only covered all medical expenses, but spent hours at the hospital with her, offering comfort when she needed it. Why are you doing this for him? Richard asked weakly from his hospital bed, looking at Nathaniel with confusion. After what I did to your wife. Because Celeste needed me to, Nathaniel replied simply. Everything that matters to her matters to me. During Richard's recovery, he finally told Celeste the truth. Her parents had died in the accident while rushing to deliver money to help him pay off dangerous gambling debts. The guilt had consumed him for years, making him resentful and cruel toward the constant reminder of his failure. I chose Nathaniel specifically, Richard admitted, tears streaming down his weathered face. I researched him thoroughly for months. I knew he was a good man who would treasure you the way you deserved. I was trying to give you the love and security I had failed to provide, even if I did it in the worst possible way." Understanding her uncle's motivations brought Celeste unexpected peace. She chose to forgive, not for Richard's sake, but for her own healing. A year after their wedding, Celeste discovered she was pregnant. When she told Nathaniel, his joy was so pure and complete that any remaining shadows from their unconventional beginning vanished entirely. "We are going to have a baby," he said in wonder, his large hands gently covering her still flat stomach. "A family of our own." Their daughter was born on a spring morning filled with sunshine. She had Nathaniel's blue eyes and Celeste's delicate features, a perfect blend of both parents. "What should we name her?" Nathaniel asked, his voice thick with emotion, as he held their tiny daughter for the first time. "Grace," Celeste said without hesitation. "Her name is Grace, because Grace brought us together, and Grace gave us this beautiful life." 3 years later, as they celebrated Grace's 3rd birthday in their home filled with laughter and love, Celeste reflected on the extraordinary journey that had brought them to this moment. The frightened girl forced into marriage had become a confident woman who knew she was cherished completely. She had finished her university degree, started a nonprofit helping orphan children, and built a life rich with purpose and love. "Do you ever regret it?" Nathaniel asked that night, as they watched their daughter sleep peacefully. "The way we started?" Celeste turned to face her husband, the man who had shown her what true love meant. "Never, because every difficult moment led me to you, to Grace, to this life we have built together. Sometimes the most painful beginnings lead to the most beautiful endings." Nathaniel pulled her close, kissing her with the same tenderness he had shown from their very first day. "I love you, Mrs. Blackwood. More than words can express. I love you too, Mr. Blackwood, always and forever." Their love story had begun in fear and obligation, but through patience, kindness, and genuine care, it had transformed into something extraordinary. They had proven that love could not be forced, but it could flourish when given space to grow naturally. Two lonely souls had found each other and created a family filled with joy, laughter, and unconditional love. In the end, what had started as Celeste's worst nightmare had become her greatest blessing. In every day she chose to love this man who had given her everything she never knew she needed.